Hello, I'm Daniel. This is a talk on the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva, and today I'm going to talk about the verse called Bringing the Object of Aversion Onto the Path. Bringing the Object of Aversion Onto the Path. I've been doing a series of talks on these, and these are just tips to help us unleash our full potential and live a more mindful life. That's the point of the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva. And yes, there are 37 of them. This is number 20. They can be listened to in any order, though. It doesn't matter. So, if you haven't seen the first 19, that's okay. It doesn't matter. But this one, bringing the object of aversion onto the path, this is about anger. And I'm going to recite it, and then I'm going to comment on it. If I do not tame the enemy that is my own anger, subduing outer enemies will only increase them. Therefore, it is the practice of bodhisattvas to tame one's own being by means of armies of loving kindness and compassion. So, we're talking about anger. And I think some people think about like righteous anger, like I have a right to be angry about this, and we're not talking about that. This isn't about if you have a right to be angry or not. This is about if it helps you. A famous Buddhist teacher named Buddha Gosha said, by responding with anger, you are like a man who wants to hit another and picks up a burning ember and so first burns himself. Like pride, anger is something that brings us a lot more harm than help. It rarely actually makes a situation better. Anger happens to all of us. Even the greatest among us experience anger sometimes. Regardless of how much we've cultivated love and compassion, we're still human, so anger happens. It is natural. And we shouldn't think we're less than just because we are responding with it, just because we're struggling with it. Although I think feeling anger and acting out are two different things. And also I think, and I've said this before, I think our language is very powerful. We don't say, I'm having an experience of the emotion of anger. We say, I'm angry, right? We think of it as who we are. And I don't think that serves us very well. So, in Buddhism, anger/aversion. Aversion is one of the three poisons, along with attachment and delusion. These are said to be the primary cause of our suffering and struggle, is attachment, aversion, delusion. Holding on to things too tightly, pushing away things too hard, and not seeing clearly. Striving to overcome our anger is essential to Buddhist practice. In Buddhism, we don't really think of anger as righteous or justifiable. It's important to remember that anger hurts us just as much as it hurts whoever the target of our anger is, if not more. Anger is nothing more than an impediment to our inner peace. We might think this person deserves to be faced with our anger. But maybe that shouldn't be our line of thinking. Maybe we can think instead, is it helpful for me to lash out right now? Who's it helping? Because a lot of the time when we're angry, we're not thinking clearly and we're not dealing with situations in a good way. So we can strive to overcome our anger, but of course we're going to get angry sometimes. Everyone does, and we shouldn't feel bad for it. It's just a thing that happens to us that we try to manage, like a lot of things. The first step is just admitting that anger is consuming you. Admit that anger is clouding your judgment and impacting your ability to deal with whatever's occurring. We can have that space where we notice, oh, I'm really angry. Why am I so angry? How is my anger affecting me, right? We can have that moment. It's hard to believe, I know, but we can. Our meditation helps us put space between event and our response. So that space will just make us notice, oh, anger. Anger's here. And so often anger gets in the way and escalates situations. It rarely actually helps. And I think thinking of anger as something that's sometimes helpful, or even half the time helpful, is really dangerous. Buddhism teaches mindfulness, and being mindful of our own emotions is a huge part of that. We don't suppress a negative emotion or deny it, but we acknowledge it and try to recognize when it isn't helpful. And also, it's important to understand that our anger is created by ourselves. Anger doesn't happen to us. Our minds create it. We tend to think that someone else causes it, but it's our mind that causes it. We do have some control over how we respond to situations. We tend to think that person made me angry, like I'm a firework and they've lit my fuse. But that's not what happened. I lit my own fuse. I saw something that made me upset and I lit my fuse. Nobody else lit my fuse. No one else can. Only I can. I have all of that power. And maybe that makes us feel better. Maybe that's empowering to just think, I have all that power. No one else can light my fuse. It's me. It's always me. As Buddhists, as people on the Bodhisattva path, our practice is to cultivate kindness and compassion for all beings that is free from attachment. So all beings, that includes individuals who make us angry. We want to still care about them and love them, even if they make us angry all the time, even if they make us so angry we can't see. For this reason, and that's not to say we should let people walk all over us, of course, but we can respond more mindfully. We can see someone who's doing us a lot of harm and get away from them without feeding those seeds of anger, without just thinking about how mad they make us, right? And that's what I want to think about. So for this reason, when we experience anger, we should take care not to act on it to hurt others or ourselves. That's the biggest thing we can do. But also take care not to cling to it. If we hold on to our anger over time, it's only more damaging to us. I think we've all had that experience where something happened a long time ago and it's really not affecting you anymore, but you're still, when you think about it, you're mad. It's not happening now. It's not here. It's not even having an impact, but still, I'm mad. And that's not good. That's not good. So, how do we let our anger go? One thing we can do is cultivate patience. We can sit still with our anger and try to release it. Our meditation practice helps strengthen our patience for this purpose. It's hard not to act on anger sometimes, and it takes strength to acknowledge that anger is not helpful, and it takes discipline to let it go. I think some people think that lashing out in anger is like strength, like I'm powerful because I lash out in anger, look how strong I am. But I think the opposite. I think managing your shit is strength, and just having your suffering spill out onto the people around you all the time, I think that is weakness. I think that is weakness. The Buddha said holding on to anger is like picking up a hot stone to throw at someone, and I think that's really true. So, even if we succeed at hurting the other person, we're hurting ourselves as well, and it's not really worth it. It's not really worth it. So I just want you to try to cultivate that space. Just try to think about that. Is anger helpful? Is lashing out helpful? Can I slow down this train? And if we can reflect enough to think, can I slow down this train? The truth is we probably can. We probably can. So, thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. Have a good day.